Well, now we find that in the FBI files, the FBI does not have any evidence that Osama bin Laden was actually the mastermind behind the destruction of 9/11. And if he did, from Afghanistan, what was the predicate for the action against Iraq? It was oil. It was taking control of another nation and through them setting up bases that would allow them to be able to attack Iran and control the Middle East. Now all of that is falling apart. And my brother, our brother, President Barak Obama, has inherited the madness of an imperial American foreign policy.
Are you saying that the President of the United States is swamped and is really parched, in another sense, for a perspective that would help him deal with this problem? There's just too much going on for him to keep up with. Some are beginning to say that.
Well, it's too much going on. I don't say that it's too much for him to deal with. But if he were left to do what his heart, his mind, and true intelligence would tell him to do, he would get us out of Afghanistan as quickly as possible. I said in my Savior's Day speech in February to our brother, find a way to get out of Afghanistan and help America to save its face, because there is no win for you in Afghanistan. I said this in February. Now the generals are saying that we are literally losing the war in Afghanistan. And Biden is saying, let's get out. And others are saying, we cannot win. So now they're talking about using money to pay the Taliban as they paid the insurgents in Iraq. These people don't like America. They'll take your money and still join a force against you. Now you're bombing Pakistan. Now what are you going to do? You're at the doorstep now of trying to find a way to attack Iran. This is suicidal. America is losing all over the world if she continues on this path.
Many are asking, though, why don't we have the student uprising that we once had in the 60s? Why aren't the students out there raising Cain as they once did about what you've just cited?
Because there's a lethargy. There's a, look, Gil, in the 60s, sex has always been with us. We have always loved the female, those of us who were natural men, and the women naturally loved their men. In the 60s, the flower groups, they were sexually active, but they were conscious. Look at the titillation in the movies, in the magazines, in the recording industry of sex. So when a man's head is between his legs, how can he think progressively? When you see the drug now, the imports into this country, the appetite in the American people for drugs, where it is an insatiable appetite that is growing, growing, growing. So the poppies in Afghanistan, the drugs in Central and South America, they have a big market in the United States. And it's because the people are dumbed down, the people are lethargic, the people's head is between their legs, the people are not conscious, the people need a stimulus package to awaken them. Not money, but the fall of the economy of the country will wake up a drug addict. Because if you don't have the money, you can't get the drugs. If the money dries up and the dollar falls into nothingness. Now, if the inflation goes up, which they're thinking that they're going to raise the interest rates, and if the inflation goes up, the dollar is going down. They're printing money that they have no backing for. They're just printing and printing more and more money. And that's why the American people are so angry with President Barak and TOP and the Bush administration that gave a bailout. A bailout to who? The very people that are robbing the world and robbing the poor have been bailed out by the poor, and the country is so far in debt today that it doesn't look like America will ever get out of it.
Do you have a prescription for the deterioration in the black home? Because so many homes in the hood are broken. The man can't provide, and the women are angry in many instances. There's a lot of bloodshed. The young people are on each other's back. Do you have any prescription, any hope?
Yeah, of course. There's lots of hope, Brother Gil. But we have to lose hope in that has destroyed us and begin to hope again in ourselves. You know, the paper that we would get a loan from the bank, and the banks would bundle that loan and sell it to foreign countries. It's called toxic paper. Toxic paper destroyed the economy of the world. What you see in us is extreme toxicity. We've been poisoned against ourselves, and the black community now is considered toxic waste. And when you have a community that is considered toxic waste, you can't build on toxic waste. If you do, those that build on it will be poisoned by the poisoning of the water, etc. Well, now there's a desire in some to get rid of the problem totally, meaning finding scientific ways to kill off an entire people.
Is there much of an outcry from black elected officials?
The sad cry is that our black elected officials and black leaders are clueless as to how to solve this problem. So many who have invested time and money to try to help black people are losing faith and are now saying we need to call the National Guard into the black communities to bring about some order. The National Guard are not police. They're not there to serve and protect, and the police aren't either today. They're becoming soldiers. So you see them dressed in the SWAT team just like you see it in Afghanistan and Iraq. You see, if the National Guard comes in, and if you look at the armories, we used to be able to have events at the armory on 142nd Street. Not today, because the armory is now a military place in preparation for an event that might come up, that the people will rise. And I say this with deep pain, Gil. The media and many whites that even voted for Brother Barak are turning on him now. They must have thought that he was God, because he's only been in 9 months, and they expect him to fulfill every promise that he made in 9 months. And now they're eating away at him, calling him a Nazi, You know, I mean, these are serious things, and they're creating an atmosphere in the country that could lead, hopefully not, to our brother's assassination.